So here we are back. The action is pretty much centered on this space. We have Grandma Bates and Ellen Ridley, and they're under attack from 4 enemies, none of whom is injured at this moment in time. So Grandma Bates refreshes 1, 2 of her abilities completely. So she has available the Walking Death, which means she could give +1 to attack rolls for this round for weapon and bare fist attacks to herself or to another person. So Ellen Ridley has available her crowbar, and her flamethrower. So, and she also can give herself Mother's Rage +1 to attack rolls and gains burning and an extra dice. So she has 4 actions. She is going to use the crowbar and she is going to give herself Mother's Rage. Or is she? No. Now, when we say attack rolls for this round, so what constitutes a round? Probably just 1 die roll. Okay, she has no area attack skills. Okay, let's do this differently. We're going to use the crowbar, and we're going to use her ability Monster's Mother against this one. So she gets 6 attack dice. 2, 4, 6. And to be on the absolute safe side, she's going to give herself Mother's Rage, which means she is going to get +1 die and flaming. So 2, 4, 6, 7 dice plus flaming. So his and +1 to attack rolls. Let's see. And that's 1, 2 successes. That was great. That didn't help. But 2 go through, so he now has 2 left. But her crowbar has taken 1 hit. So she now has 5. So that was her first action. She now has 5 left. And that's 1, no, 2, 4, no, she should have rolled a 6th die. So now he's got 1 life left. And there was a natural 1 there as well. So her crowbar is now really hurting. And we're going to give her her 4th action, 2 4s. Her 3rd action is going to be against the patient again. And she has 1, 2 successes. That's enough. And he's dead. Okay, so that's 1. And we now have killed 3 mental patients. And she has, she could still use the crowbar, or she could use the flamethrower, and she's going to use her flamethrower for 5. And course flaming. Whoops, that was one success. This one went out. Okay, so it's one success against this one, and her flamethrower takes one hit. So this one has one life left, less. Then we're gonna take, oh yeah, and considering that she killed something, her flame one goes down by one. Now it's Grandma Bates. She's gonna use Walking Death to add +1 to her attack rolls this round. And she's going to attack this guy with her bone saw. And that's 1, 2, 3, that's enough successes, he's dead. So 1, 2, 3, he's dead. So one more scavenger down. So we're now at 1, 2, 3, 4. That's her first action, and for her second action she's going to do the same thing again. And she has one success. That's not enough, so she does 1 damage to this guy. But this one goes down. And she has 3 movement left, which she's going to use. 1, 2, 3. She's rolling out of here. That's it. Oh no, yeah. No, actually she's got Grandma's pudding left, so she's gonna give 1d6 of health to Ripley, and she's gonna get 1d6 herself. That's 2 health left. And then she's gonna move 1, 2, 3. So she's out of here. Okay, now it's movement phase. It's the movement phase. Characters roll an imagination test. Okay, let's do this for Ripley first. She passes, and Grandma Bates passes as well. Nothing happens. So he moves to space 10. Green star means we do what exactly? We cancel 1 bit of progress. So we're going to bring down the number of scavengers to 3. We're going to spawn. So first of all, everybody's going to move. 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1. These guys are just basically, what's the nearest way of getting out of there? 1, 2, 1, 2. This one's going to move up. 1, 2, 1, 2. So we're going to now spawn 2, 11. 3, 10. Where is 10? Oh, down here, 3, 10. Okay, good. So now we have the attack phase, and we are going to use anthropophobia. You are immune to damage, and monsters cannot target you with attacks this round. At the end of the round, teleport to a random space. Okay, nothing happens, they can't attack her. Goodbye, suckers. She teleports to this space. And now it's her round. Everything cools down. And Ellen Ripley is going to perform 2 tasks, and she's going to draw 2 memories. The first one is memory strip 1. The nurse with the dead gaze came earlier with another tray full of medications. You remember pill after pill being forced down your throat with a silicone glove. Soon the drugs turned into spiders. You can feel them in your stomach, swarming, squeaking, laying eggs. You reach for a sharp object to let them loose. Roll an whatever that is illusion test. She fails. Fail, lose 3 life. So she loses 2 points of damage. And the next one is Memory Strip 2. Nobody gets admitted to this facility without meeting the warden first. After serving you tea, he sits, smiling and waits, nodding after you take each sip. Before you realize you've become catatonic. You cannot move, but you can feel especially the pain when the chief administrator starts to perform a vivisection on you with his bare hands. Before you pass out, you can see that he measures your organs carefully and writes the numbers down in a worn notebook. You can only imagine what he needs the data for. Roll an whatever test. 7, she passes. Success, move the warden 1 space backwards. That's great. So finally we see progress. Okay, now. Good. So she's got 2 of these memory tokens now, which is brilliant because memory we now have 2. So we need to kill 1 nurse. But also she has 2 left. We're going to take these memory strips and we're going to exchange them for an ability. And we draw the top one, and the top one is Escape Velocity. Move 2 spaces in any direction, ignore monsters, gain +2 shields for this round. Okay. So she has 2 actions left. And she's going to use those to move 1, 2 to this space. Let's see if you can actually catch this with the camera. Probably not, so I'll have to adjust this. So, Grandma is now doing what she does best, and that's rolling. This is how she rolls. She's going to take 1, and that's her first move. She's going to analyze this door. Without looking, we're going to pull something from this door. And it's an open door. That was really good. So she can actually just pass through. So she has taken 1 move and 1 action. So second move, third move, second action, analyze this door. And it's another empty one. So the 2 of them are almost reunited, which is really good. Now it's the warden. The warden moves 1 space forward on the insomnia track unless players sacrifice 3 plus number of characters worth of life. We can't do this, so he's going to move 2. So we gained. So yeah, that's. But you know, we pulled him back 1, so that was good. Green star tells us to cancel 1 point of progress. So we're going to get rid of. How many memories do we need for this? We would need 3. We have 2. Number of characters plus 1. Okay. We're going to take 1 scavenger off because they're easier to kill. Okay. Everybody moves. So they have to go down south again. 1, 2, 1. Everybody turns around. 1, 2. 1, 2. 2, 1, 1, 1. These can't get out here. 1, 2. They're actually locked in. They'll have to go the long way around. 1, 1, 1, 1, 2. Where does this door belong? Oh yeah. 1, 2. It's actually, it would go this way actually. And now we're going to spawn one scavenger on 1, 2 and one mental patient on 3, 8. No attacks. Okay. Grandma is going to move here and she's going to turn this over to see what she finds. And Grandma finds nothing. So that was one movement and one action. Another movement, action, she's going to analyze this door. And it is another empty door. Brilliant. So she moves in. Second movement, and she's going to stay here. Her friend is going to follow 1, 2, 3, and then on her fourth action she's going to turn this over. Okay, so we can now do a test, imagination test or whatever they're called. I really have to look up what they are called. For 7. And she gets 1, 2 successes, 3, 4 successes, so she can get a weapon. And that's a pistol. And this means we have one storage container. Okay. Now that's the end of the round. Goody. What does the warden do? The warden moves 12, so we have one more round. This means we've lost. Mental patients have flaming attack for this turn. Green means we lose 1. Goody, so you can see we're not winning. Okay, so let's see. Everyone moves. This is a door. 1, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1. These yolks are, can they go through here? Yes, they can. 1, 2, 1, 1, 1. 1, 2, 1, 2, and then we need to spawn a scavenger on 3, 4. And one mental patient, I believe, on 3, 9. And yeah, we have one more round and then the warden hits, and we cannot win this because we would need to kill one nurse, one scavenger, one mental patient, find 2 more item cards and pick up 1 more memory token. So yeah, we can kind of forget that. That's not going to happen. So we can at least kill these 2, or at least try to. Let's refresh everything. Drive-through is active again. Walking Death is active. This one's active. This one's getting refreshed. Let's see what the pistol does. The pistol has a range of 1. It gives me +1 to attack rolls. So I'm going to target this one. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 1 because he's a mental patient. And I'm going to add 1 hurt damage die to this one, so that a damage token, so that it actually gives me 6. An additional, so I have 2, 4, 6, 7 dice, flaming, and plus 1 to my attack. And that's 1, 2, 2, and I ignore his armor. And I'm going to do this again, but only with 6 dice this time. 1 and 1 more time. Okay, he's dead. So mental patients, we've got 3. And I've got 1 more. And here I am going to do the... add another breakage token to my pistol. And I'm going to attack the scavenger for 1, 2, 3. And that means he's dead. Very good. So 1 more scavenger down. So we killed many scavengers in total, but now we're at 3 again. So she's got her 4 done. Grandma Bates is going to analyze this door for her first action. Oh yeah, and it's barricaded. It would require 2 actions. Then she's going to move 1. And she's going to analyze this door. And that one is locked. So she can really only go outside, but that's not going to help her or do anything because she's just going to put herself in harm's way. So now we have movement and the warden moves and we have lost. So we're not going to go into the boss end fight because that's not really going to help. Okay, so that's the end of the game. As you can see, there's plenty of stuff going on around the board. Plenty of stuff. It is soloable, but I think playing 2 characters is as much as I could do because there's just too much going on. There are too many monsters because the spawning is just too crazy. Having said this, I think you could also potentially house rule it and say, because as you can see, worst case scenario, you spawn 3. If you have a certain number of characters. You could also say that if you have 2 characters, you only ever spawn the leftmost one. The problem with that is that in this scenario, we would have had to kill 2 nurses. We only have 1, 2, 3 nurses on the board. And they spawn really rarely. So at the beginning of the game, if you have 4 characters, you spawn 1 nurse, I believe. So that's a bit of a problem then if you do not have any if you don't have any 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, if you do not have any nurses on the board, you could be unable to win, to fulfill the winning condition simply because you don't get any spawns for nurses. So you would probably have to compromise and say that for this scenario, if you're gonna house rule the spawning rules and say you're just gonna always spawn just 1, of course you're making it a little bit easier in that you're not overwhelmed by monsters, but you're also making it a little bit harder because you may not be able to get everything that you need for the winning condition. So because of course the warden moves. However, as we also saw, there are benign events that will actually push the warden back. However, the problem is that you don't really have that many possibilities of picking up these tokens. So I think that the problem is you can of course split the party and everybody will die happily, because I don't think you can actually win this if you don't stick together. So I suppose the best way of playing this would be with 2 people, each controlling 2 characters, and then the 2 characters, you know, like having 2 parties and covering different parts of the board, so that you can, as a group, get more, cover more ground, because with 2 it's actually difficult to cover enough ground. I mean, we were pretty lucky with the doors here, but then there were doors that, you know, just take too long to open. Of course, you can use certain elements in the game, like the crowbar. I think you can bring it down by 1 with regard to durability, and then spend 1 action to open 1 door. So if you really wanted to, you could easily do this. But then again, if this is your, I mean, it's kind of like a toss-up. So I suppose you have to kind of find a way to mitigate the cataclysmic events that will hit you at some point, because it does become quite cataclysmic as you play. When more and more monsters come, I mean, the fact that we were able to run away, to teleport away, was a huge benefit. So that was really lucky. I guess, yeah, that was really lucky. I mean, I suppose this is how you best sum up the game. This game is very, very luck driven. It's and I think there's not so much in the way of mitigating the luck. You know, it's a dice chucker. It's an Ameritrash game, and if this is your thing, then I think this will be a great game for you. I think it was Kalasma who said it's not a modern game, in that this game would have been in the vein of the games that were produced maybe in the 90s, that were completely luck driven, that weren't scripted. And then of course, you know, you have lots of stuff going terribly wrong, and that's the way it's played. And people like this and people accept it. But today he feels that people enjoy scripted games. Games are more and more scripted. I don't know if I necessarily agree with him on that one, or as a matter of fact, I know that I don't, but I do understand where he's coming from. There is a tendency in games today to have certain things happen at certain points in time. So when you look, for example, at any game that asks you to create an event deck in a certain order, you would have scripting. For example, in Eldritch Horror, you don't just put in random mythos cards and you just pull them out. That's not how this game works. You actually put in the game cards in a certain order, and you play in, if you like, in acts. So stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. And certain things will only happen at a certain stage. Evening Castle Ravenloft, those of you who have watched my playthrough, you have certain ways of putting together the dungeon tile deck, and certain things will happen at certain points in time. So, you know, the winning condition is usually hidden in the bottom 10, which also makes sense because you do want the game to go on for a certain amount of time. Here it is completely here it's completely random, you know. And of course, with more and more randomness, you also may get a lot more frustration, because I guess I could play this game 1,000,000 times and always lose. I think it's really hard to win, and I also don't think it gets easier with time. I don't think that there is a lot of strategic decisions involved. At least, I mean, because I think each one has a particular starting equipment, except for Ma Baker, who basically gets a wild card. Nobody really knows what her starting equipment is, so she will just get a random starting equipment. So she might end up with a really interesting starting equipment, or she may end up with something that's pretty much a dud. Again, something you have no control over, which is fair enough, I guess. But I think it does mean that certain strategic decisions are very difficult to make. So I believe that a lot of people will dislike this, because the game is essentially unplannable. So if you are a gamer who plays to win, you're probably not going to like this game very much, because I think this is one of the ones where you will come away saying, well, yeah, at least we got some of the objectives. I think it's also an exercise in self-restraint, to accept the fact that the game is relentless. I mean, you saw how many times I actually had to remove some of my, or all of my winning conditions, because I just ran out of, or I just drew the wrong card, and then I got a green star or a blue star. And then whatever you've worked for is gone. Now, I suppose, considering that we are playing mental patients who are trying to escape, this is probably quite thematic, because it's quite thematic that we will not be able to escape, that we are in there forever. But I think it's for people who are easily frustrated. This is probably not the game. Which brings me to the other observation, because if it's something where you play not to win, but play for atmosphere, I'm not sure if I would recommend this game for this kind of play, because it's not very atmospheric. I mean, never once did I feel like I was in a mental hospital. There isn't a lot of storytelling going on. I mean, the events are bland. Sometimes it just says there is no event, so that's almost lucky. But this whole storytelling aspect is kind of missing. So if you're looking for something like Arkham Horror in an asylum, this is not it. Although it has certain mechanical similarities, like, for example, you have event cards, you have a doom track. You can end up chucking many dice. It's a little bit like Arkham Horror. But it's not necessarily the most immersive of games. I mean, it's more like, okay, now I need to draw a card, now I need to do this, now I have monster movement. And there's nothing wrong with that, don't get me wrong, I'm not criticizing the game for this, but it's more like mechanics that are the theme could be anything. For all I know, we are on a space station. So the fact that you're on that you are in an insane asylum doesn't come through at all. Which also brings me to a question that people have asked on Board Game Geek, for example, because of course the topic of mental health is quite hotly debated at the moment. So does it actually exploit the topic? And I would say it does not. For all I know, you could also say you're in Silent Hill. And essentially this is the game that goes with that movie, and you just have to imagine that you're in Silent Hill and you're meeting really weird monsters. So I would say if you are unsure if you should get this game because of the theme, yeah, of course you have the word, you know, neurosis and stuff, but to me that's actually not really that trigger worthy. I didn't really feel that the theme itself exploits mental illness. And I think you could also get your way around it, you know. So if you are wondering, I would say this is not really as prevalent. You could always say, some of the mechanics, instead of saying you're schizophrenic, you just say you're a magician. You could always do this. Generally speaking, I think it's an okay game. I don't regret the purchase, but I'm also not sure if I would play it a lot, because setup and teardown do take time. I mean, I don't know how long teardown now took, and as you can see, I have already found a storage solution. So I'm repurposing old boxes from Arkham Horror and Eldritch Horror. Setting it up does take time, and then playing through the scenario. I mean, I would not see myself playing through more than one scenario in one go. So this whole campaign play where you can play up to 4 scenarios, that's just not going to happen. And this is an easy scenario, and I don't know what it's like if you have like the bigger ones where you then have mini bosses that walk around that mess up the gameplay. That actually try to bring you down. So I think then it does get a lot fiddlier, and it does get a lot more complex and possibly even annoying. So yeah, I think I would probably look into house ruling a lot of it. Even just to not get this annoyance factor of, oh great. Because for example, if you play a scenario and then followed by another scenario and you finish the first one, you don't get any positives out of this. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think this is also a bit weird. So in general, Lobotomy is an okay game. If you love painting minis, get it, because the minis are really lovely. I think it'll not hit the table that often though. So I don't think I'm going to do another playthrough. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye-bye.